Hi, everyone. Welcome to Happy Hour. I hope you've been enjoying the show so far. It's definitely taken a very different turn than it was before. And today, I have someone familiar on the show.
Wait, do I look at the camera?
You can look wherever you want.
I don't know where to look. It's kind of scary.
I'm seated right next to one of my best friends, and he's appeared on the podcast. I think you were my second ever guest. No, I think you were my third ever guest.
Raw.
Yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself?
So I'm Stephen Lee. We went to Chapman together. What else is there about me? I'm Asian. I'm Taiwanese. We're both Taiwanese.
That's why he's able to be on the podcast.
Right. Those are my credentials. I majored in animation at Chapman. I'm currently a freelance fashion and commercial photographer and also an art director, CG artist at a motion design studio.
You are an art director there.
I literally am.
Yeah, and you need to scooch closer.
I do. I'm literally being
we're like so close because I don't have an official studio, and we're literally just
This is a
recording
cute
in my
frame, though.
bedroom. Yeah. It's
Notice how the
cute.
target is on me.
Okay, listen. I don't have an agenda for what to talk about
And that's
tonight.
perfectly okay.
And not to say that you're a guest that's not worth having an agenda,
Right.
but I think with the two of us combined, we can do whatever we want.
Literally whatever. It's going to trail off into a billion different topics.
Yeah, because, okay, a lot of our friends have messaged us and said that the two of you need a show together. The two of you need a show
100%.
together. And so
1000%.
I kind of think of you as a correspondent that I want to have on the show.
I completely agree.
Because I think you offer a lot of valuable and also invaluable advice as well. Is invaluable bad?
You know, I
Feels good, though.
literally have no clue. I'm also like at the time of day where my brain cells they disappear. So you're going to see both my lack of intellect and also my crazy vibes.
But before we dive in to whatever we want to dive in about, we have some happy hour drinks because it's
we do.
customary. I'm already sweating and it's
Mine
a hot
is literally
drink.
so
Okay, do you wanna-
it's boiling hot. I'm literally not going to sip it.
Do you want to explain what this is?
Okay, so I went to a tea festival, and the tea is called No More Hangover, which I clearly need. And it's really good. It has eucalyptus leaf. Cheers. Oh,
Wait.
no.
Okay,
There we go.
And
Has
persimmon leaves too.
I said eucalyptus and I was lying. It has,
There's no eucalyptus in there. The intellect you see is gone.
it has persimmon leaves, and hydrangea for sweetness, and then lotus leaf as well. And it's just this amazing tea.
You know what's a tea that's really underrated is dandelion tea. I think that's one of my favorite tea blends.
Good for
because
digestion.
Really good for digestion, really good for detoxing the liver. And there's this specific brand called Teeccino. So it's like a cappuccino, but Teeccino, Teeccino. It's not an ad at all, but I love all of their dandelion blends because they do a caramel dandelion blend, or they do
I've had your caramel one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good. And if
It's
you
really
add
good.
a splash of milk, it literally feels like a latte.
Let's talk about matcha. Because this morning I did something new where I poured, instead of pouring just straight up hot water into matcha powder, I brewed matcha green tea first and used that as the base. And then it was extra smooth and silky. And it's really good, and everyone has to try it because it's clearly the superior method.
Okay. Let's talk about your career. So we've been out of college for almost 2 years now. How are you?
Let me think about that because that's such a loaded question. I think right now, currently,
Okay, currently at 9 p.m., exactly 9 p.m. on Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. How are you?
I'm on a gradual upwards trend
Okay.
of good freelance projects right now.
Yes. Are you able to talk about what you're doing?
Sure, yeah, I think so. But I'm about to be burnt out, I think, in about a week or so. Because I, for some reason, booked 5 projects in the middle of May.
While working a full-time job as an art director at Frame 48, which is a VFX post-production studio.
Right. And then I come home and I'm like, oh, I have to do more work, which I like don't have to because I have a full-time job, but I really enjoy my freelance work, which is like a whole story about like why I even like went into full-time and well, switch it, whatever. Um, but okay, what's happening right now? So I'm working on a CG shoot for this brand.
I'm so sorry. That's so rude of
That's
me.
so rude. I'm literally the guest and I heard that notification. I can't believe you
Oh
would
my
do that
gosh.
to me.
I can't believe I didn't silence my iPad.
It like really shows your priorities. And I feel like in this day and age, Gen Z people are just so spoiled and so just like so attentive to their devices. And like you need to come back to the real world.
I love bringing up that I have an iPad mini because I feel like it's the only way where I'm able to join the people who are in the Apple ecosystem because I have an HTC.
No, but you're getting a iPhones.
Okay, yeah. So I'm planning on getting an iPhone in September 15th, on September 15th when Apple releases their new iPhone 15 phones. So that means the prices for the iPhone 14 will get slashed. So right on that day, I will be going to my local T-Mobile to get my iPhone 14 Pro.
I think everyone in our friend group has been waiting for this day.
Yeah.
Because like why
It's
am
like
I
because
only able to text you through Facebook
oh,
Messenger?
so
Excuse?
a lot of friends, I mean, you just airdrop everything, but for me, I was like, hey, so can you upload all the photos and videos into a Google Drive and then share it to this email? And that's usually been the case, but change is coming.
Change is coming.
Change
Okay, that's
is
actually an
coming.
inside joke we should talk about because we say that all the time. It's because like I think it was my sophomore year of college, like my old photography. I didn't even consider myself really a photographer at the time, but my feed on Instagram was like all like dull, neutral, like shadow photos. And then like for some reason I got like this epiphany that I wanted to shoot or like post only like very bright, bold, experimental imagery. And so I made this dramatic entrance where I made a post and it was like this like statue or something with like
Yes.
an orange circle and I just wrote changes coming and I made it so dramatic and then Melissa has given me shit for it like since forever.
So every time something even like something even the
Minor
smallest things happen, we're like, change is coming.
change
Change
is
is coming.
coming.
Do you think changes came? Changes come.
Changes come. Lots of changes have come, in fact. I think one of the biggest changes in the past 2 years since we moved into Tyrone, which is what we're calling our apartment.
Yeah.
Not everyone knowing where we live. Whatever, I don't care. Come into
Tyrone
our
is a
house.
very, very, very long street, so I think
You're
we're safe.
We're safe. Uh, wait, what was it? Oh, change. Oh, yeah. The biggest change was that basically I came out of college thinking that I wanted to do full-time photography, fashion, commercial, because I already had kind of like my very small business set up. And then I made my animated thesis, uh, not thinking really anything of it. But then I got a DM from someone who was like, "Hey, you should like come and do an interview. Like, we have an internship at this VFX studio that we."
Who messaged you?
Enrique de la Garza. Enrique, love you. Okay, so and then I was like shocked because I was like, I was not expecting to work in animation. I'm like covering my entire face
And
by doing this.
I keep laughing so loud. I don't know if my audio levels are peaking.
I don't care if you're peeking. Peek all day.
No, you sound really good. Your audio files are looking really good. Sorry.
Obviously.
Okay, Enrique de la Garza.
I love how you love to interrupt me.
It's mutual.
It's mutual. Wait.
And then so you applied to frame.
Oh yeah, and then and then I applied to frame, and then I was just like, I might as well make use of my degree, right? So then I went there, and then I was like loving it, and then also not thinking that I was gonna get hired, but then eventually I did at the end of the internship. They were like, "Do you want to come on as a CG artist?" And at the time, I really thought my experience in Maya, which is a 3D program, was like very not up to par. Um, and so I just like didn't even consider the option of joining a 3D studio. But then when I did, I was like, damn, this is like honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made was joining
Because of the people.
because of the people and the people it was including me, it was a 5-person team at the time, and I was so like shocked at how small they were, but then they made such incredible work, and I was like, oh wow, I want to be a part of that.
What are some of the accolades and the clients Frame has been a part of?
One of our biggest clients is Shimano, which is this like bike cycling company where they make like wheels, they make shoes, they make like the fishing
The fishing?
whatever. I don't know, the fish whatever like fishing equipment and stuff. Those are one of our biggest clients. And then we've also done like a few music videos. We work a lot with Muse. So we were doing like music videos for them, and we recently did their tour visuals, and we got to go to their concert and see our stuff on the screen. That was super exciting. Yeah, and then basically like our team is growing right now, and I just like had so much imposter syndrome coming in because I'm like I didn't even really consider myself a full on like CG artist. But then like they believed in me and I was like, "What?" And then I stayed and then continued to progress in the company, and just like honestly being a part of its development is really really fulfilling. And like with a smaller team, like you have more communication across all people. Like we're all just trying to like do the next best thing and improve our creative workflow. And one of my dream jobs for a while was being art director, and so when that was offered to me, I was very very honored.
So what happened was that your boss approached you with multiple full-time job offers. But I think it was until the third time or the fourth time. Was it the third time?
I don't remember, but I just remember that each time the full-time job was brought up, I always felt really bad because I wanted to, and I always say how much I love Frame 48, but
But also
then
you were more invested in freelance photography at the
right,
time.
right. I was so, or my work in photography was very saturated, and I was constantly hustling, coming home from, because I was part-time at the time, and I was just coming home and then like having to do more and more work, and then like working late nights and sending contracts, sending emails and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point I was like, wow, change is coming. Like I
No,
need
change needs to come.
needs to come.
Yeah.
And because I was getting burnt out, and I was realizing that like I was really just tired of like handling all the like the client side of things, all the business side of things.
Yeah, because you're a one person show. You're the producer, the director, the photographer, the editor. If you had a team of a producer, of other crew members, that would have alleviated so much of this, so much responsibility
Right.
off of your shoulders. But apparently that just wasn't the case, and that made you really tired.
No, yeah, and I tried to hustle a lot because I'm not a workaholic necessarily, but I don't know. I was just in the hustle mindset that year, 2021, 2022 specifically. Um, and then so then when I by the third or fourth time we talked about full-time job, I was like, I feel like I've been waiting for this change, and like my freelance work has just been kind of getting not flatlining necessarily, but I started to lose the joy a little bit from shooting for a while because I just realized how much of my like personal work and my personal creative voice had been kind of lost in all this commercial
Mm-hmm.
branding work. And I was like, I need someone else to like handle the client stuff. Like if I join this studio, like I won't need to worry about that, which is really nice. But this is not to say like my number one reason for joining Frame, because I love them. But a big plus was thinking about how much I wouldn't have to deal with freelance again. That being said, I'm still doing it, but
Yeah, and you've
um
recently onboarded so many projects.
right. And I think that was just because it was there, and I'm like, I feel a little bit more capacity to take on some projects. But for a long time since I went full time, it was like my clients just like knew that I was doing that. So then they stopped reaching out, and I was like, wow, this is low key a little sad. I'm not receiving any emails. But then it was a blessing in disguise because I took that time to rest, and I took that time to
Reorient your
reorient.
priorities.
Yeah, and really think about what my personal voice looks like, because I just haven't done a personal project in a very long time. And I started to pursue that during my break.
And when people want to find their personal voice, you said that you do personal projects, what sorts of personal projects did you do? Like, what personal projects would you recommend people doing to find their voice?
Knowing your voice or knowing your creative voice just comes with knowing yourself, not to inherently tie you to your art, but so much of your art comes from your identity and who you are as a person. So if you don't like go out and experience new things, your work is not going to naturally reflect that like interestingness of life. Like if I'm staying in my room day after day, what am I going to share work about? Like what am I going to
Literally.
talk about? And so I guess for me, I was just focusing on like recovering from commercial work, having good life experiences with my friends, going out on walks, trying new foods, whatever. And like I knew that, or like after talking with a bunch of creatives, it made sense to me that the more I listened to my gut, listened to what I needed personally in my physical and mental health, the more my art would blossom. I'm saying this as if I've like accomplished all that, but I don't think I'm even close. Like I have a lot of work that I feel like just when I see it, I feel like it doesn't look like mine. But even though other people can identify like, oh, Steven, you have like a certain style, I feel like when I look at my work, I'm always like, it's something's not quite right. And so like I think the joy and also the pressure and also the obstacle of being a creative is constantly having to figure out and unlock what that like true art looks like.
Yeah.
You know?
Literally. Do you think people will think that we have an attractive voice?
No.
Well, no.
I don't think my voice is attractive.
When I laugh, it's very like, how would you describe it? It's very
Okay.
witchy.
Let's start our attractive voice 1, 2, 3. So
Yeah.
let me think.
You just have
So,
to
yeah.
sound very mask.
I heard to find your natural voice is just to like
Yeah.
and that's your
I was a
tone.
theater major, and so we did a lot of vocal exercises.
But I always talk higher than my normal because I actually am more of a baritone bass.
Ever since I started studying theater in college, I found my natural voice. Like back in high school, I mean, looking back at and listening to old videos of me in high school, my voice did not sound like this. No,
Did you get lower?
It got lower.
Yeah,
And also, I
same.
also studied broadcast journalism too. Broadcast journalism too. How did we get here, first of all? I was going to make a comment, a deep, profound comment about what you said about career. And then I said something stupid like, do people think we have a sexy voice?
Oh, okay. Let's backtrack.
Okay.
Let me think.
My
I think
butt
it was
is
about
so wet. Like this chair
From
is
sweat?
literally sliding.
It is
sliding
hot in
off of
here.
this chair. Yeah, because I can't turn the fan on because the like it's gonna hum in the background.
You're so right. It's okay. We can refresh ourselves afterwards. Oh, I said about finding your personal voice.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to say that I think a lot of people, even artists themselves, they just assume that their personal voice is just this one constant voice that'll never change.
Or that they have to find what that exact voice is and then it's locked. Like, yeah.
But change is always happening.
Always happening. Your personal voice is who you are at the moment.
Exactly.
Literally.
Oh my gosh. And I feel like for me, I feel like my voice is always changing in terms of what I want to do. I feel like when you have your identity crises, it's about more of like the type of work that you do. I think if I were to relate to that, but in my experience, I'm always trying to think about what am I going to do as a career, because I always feel like, so I mean, I'm going through a really interesting transition period.
We need to interview Melissa. Also, that's what her name is.
Okay, so for context, like for me, Melissa, I have worked as a freelancer pretty much, well, ever since I graduated. And I've had a couple of unfavorable experiences with employers that I've worked with in the past. And so it's all led up to this moment where now I'm just like, well, now I'm like more free now, and I say more free now. It's like I don't have that much work, so I'm not even getting that much income. That's why happy hour really came into the picture, because I was like, I need to do something. I was like, maybe I can bring this podcast back. But I was like, I have this time to reorient my priorities.
Right.
Melissa, what do you want? Okay, Melissa, you love video producing, and that's what I did in my previous jobs. And I like to edit videos too, and because I've done that for YouTubers. I've edited videos for YouTubers in the past, and I also love podcasts too, because I love talking.
Right. And so do I.
Therefore we need to do more episodes together.
Yeah.
And I just love getting to know people, because I also had a journalism background. I do not sound like I came from a journalism background.
Don't ever do that ever again.
But it's just come to this point where I was like, okay, well, this show, Happy Hour, can be an accumulation of all of these interests that I like. Producing, directing, interviewing, researching guests, editing episodes.
You're really good at whole picture vibes.
Am I?
Yeah. When you have a project or you're entering something, you look at the big picture.
You did not explain that at all. You just repeated what you said.
Okay, let me explain by contrast. When I start a project, I'm really bad at looking at the big
You look at the end goal.
I look at the end goal, and I also like to, when I get stuck on one step, I like hone in on that step. But like, you're good at remembering like all the other aspects of it. And that's what I admire about you.
So what I did with Happy Hour, because like I said in my previous episode, I started this show 2 years ago. And at the time I was about to graduate from college, but I hadn't gotten any post-college working experience. So I was doing it as a side hobby, and I was just doing it for fun. But now doing it again, there were a few things that I knew I had to do. I wrote down a checklist of what I needed to do, obviously, before this episode launched in May. I wrote down an entire pitch deck Bible of what the show is, because I didn't have that in the past. And also for anyone who's starting something, essentially creating a vision board or just writing down the intention of your project is so important, because that's going to be your North Star.
Yeah.
So I wrote down the Bible of the show. And in the future, if enough of you guys are listening to this show, and maybe this show has like a good amount of viewers and listeners, like maybe I can, pitch it to like a different company. People who are not watching the video don't know why we're laughing. I'm just shaking fanatically. So I wrote down the Bible, and in the Bible I wrote down the log line. I wrote down the why, the theme, the what if, just to really cement that down.
Right.
And I also wrote down a quarterly checklist for what I wanted to accomplish. I broke down the rest of the year in the quarters that it has. So I was like, what do I want to accomplish in quarter 2? I want to post at least 3 reels a week, because consistency is key. And if I don't put out reels out into the world on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube Shorts, and on TikTok, no one is going to see this show. No one. So I was like, I have to literally post at least 3 times a week. And then the next quarter, for quarter 3, let's amp it up to maybe 4 reels a week. And then the next quarter, which is the last quarter of the year, I'll do 5 reels a week. But I don't know what's going to happen even a month later. Like, the future is so uncertain.
But the fact that you're pushing forward is so important. And also, I feel like people underestimate how hard, or not how hard, but how much work necessarily it takes to make reels and TikToks. And a lot of them
are like, oh, podcasting, you're just speaking into a mic. Oh my gosh. No.
It takes so much time.
It takes so much, like, to edit the episodes, it requires a lot of active listening. And it requires a lot of repeated listening, because you're doing a lot of quality control. And also, when I was trying to relaunch the show, I wanted to make a new logo. And so I had to create a mood board on what I wanted the new logo to look like. And I worked with actually our roommate, Anna, who actually designed the logo. And doesn't it look so good, guys?
What?
You're supposed to say, oh my gosh, yeah, the logo looks so good.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay, so our housemate I don't know.
She's
right
out
over there.
there.
She's right over there. Do you see her? She made the incredible logo, and I can't stop staring. I can't go on. I can't stop staring at it.
Okay, what's so wholesome is that she made the logo and her boyfriend Mitch made the animation of that logo.
What a pair.
What a pair. And so are we.
Raw talent, honestly, if you ask me.
Okay, you just completely gleaned over my compliment of the two of us. I said,
Oh yeah, no, literally same. Yeah.
what makes us so like
I feel like people who don't know me, they're like, this bitch is so dumb. I'm literally like, literally, yeah, right. The whole time.
They literally, when they heard my episode, I mean, if they hear my previous episodes, they'll be like, oh my gosh, Melissa is very well spoken. She has such an air of confidence. And then they go to this episode.
Yeah, they're like, oh.
Okay, so this is what happens when the two of us hang out with each other. When I call Steven at work, he code switches.
Oh,
he
yeah.
is not this at work. Like, I'll be screaming over the phone. I'll be like very effusive with what I'm trying to say. And then you'll just be in the office being like,
cool. Or no, she called me one time. She's like, guess who I saw? Guess who I met today? I'm like, who? But if I was home, I'd be like, woo.
So when I'm with Steven, I just let loose. Like what I'm doing right now, as what I've been doing for the past 40 minutes.
Oh my God, it's been 40 minutes already.
Literally.
Literally.
So one time we were at like Big Five.
Literally insane.
So one time we were at Big Five Sporting Good. Is that how you say it? Is it called Big Five?
Why do you think I would know?
Well, you were there with me. It's the sporting goods store that I've only been into once. And you were buying a tennis racket at that time. You were buying a tennis racket at the time. And then we were looking at the different rackets. And then I saw that one of the rackets, the brand is Head. I was in a public area and I looked at that tennis racket and I was like, giving head.
I didn't know why you said that. And then there was this like more professional tennis player on the side who was looking at tennis rackets. And then I think like when we're together, we allow ourselves to be our dumbest selves.
Yeah. I really thank you for allowing me to have the space to do that.
I'm the same as well. I'm really thankful as well because I think there's so much of if I'm thinking about it really deeply, like there's so much of my inner child that I still have yet to like heal and like tend to, because a lot of my childhood I couldn't really be fully myself, and now I'm realizing in this apartment I have the space to do that. And so that's why at night I'm so dumb because like I just like don't want to think and be smart and make good life choices anymore. Like I'm just gonna make the space to like be that child again where I can say whatever the fuck I want, and that is this space right now. And so that's what you're seeing, the full, real, unfiltered, raw, vulnerable me,
authentic, genuine, resonant, poignant.
You're literally Mrs. Thesaurus.
Mrs.
Oh. Who's the husband? I think I know who it is.
Who? Okay. I was going to say that Steven was a very different person 2 years ago when I interviewed him for this podcast. So you could so literally go to the third episode.
I was always this person.
Okay.
But then
you were always this person.
I was put in a shell. I put myself in a shell. I was closeted once for being gay, and then I was closeted again for being crazy. I just feel like for a long time, like I always had this like very enthusiastic personality, but then I put it away because I like wanted to be cool and like palatable for whatever.
Yeah, and also like the environment we were in. We were at a very prestigious film school, and everyone was like super cool and indie and hip.
Right.
They listened to Rex Orange County, which we don't listen to anymore.
Canceled.
And then they listened to Still Woozy. They listened to.
We both had a similar like perceptions of like what cool
exactly
meant and like how to attain to that.
Yeah.
And then we both also broke down like what is it? Not broke. We didn't break down. And then we both deconstructed those perceptions and how it pertained to us and how we should be ourselves in contrast
honestly,
to what
like
that standard
back
is.
then when we were in film school, the two of us, in terms of fashion, we were like, we gotta wear bright colors. We gotta wear loud, bright
tuck
colors.
everything in.
Literally, oh my gosh, I look at those photos back then, where even when I went to the gym, I would tuck my shirt in, and I'm like,
I don't know. And then we also had a conversation one time where we were talking about coolness, other people's perception of us is more cool than we actually are, which was exactly what Emma Chamberlain was talking about on her podcast.
I think a lot of people always would, I mean, not always, but like
always.
But you know, the occasional more than we thought would be like, oh my gosh, like they're so cool, or like you dress up so cool, or you look so cool.
Yeah, and then we come home and we're like this. Like we are weirdos.
You said that I'm a Mrs. something something just now.
You're Mrs. Thesaurus.
You say that I'm a mythis.
Oh my god. We both literally cannot talk anymore. I swear we're not like drunk or anything.
Sometimes I actually get a little concerned. I'm like, I never used to tongue twist my words in the past, and now I do. But maybe it's just that my brain is working so fast right now that my tongue can't even catch up.
I think that's what's happening.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say, I think that's what's happening because we're both in a very let loose mentality, right? I think that one's strange. It's not even that funny. I'm just like, oh my god.
Like
okay, I'm literally calm. I'm literally calm. Let's talk about.
Okay, you said that I was a Mrs. Thesaurus just now. Stephen, how would you characterize would be my Mr. Thesaurus?
I still don't know what you're saying.
How, if you were to build a guy for me right now,
what
would you do?
I think your future boyfriend
build
is definitely
future husband.
Okay, 6'3" for sure.
I'm 5'10" for context. My hair is so crazy right now because I'm sweating.
That's okay because we embrace the mistakes. Anyway, so your husband is going to be 6'3". He is going to be incredibly organized, maybe even more organized than you.
Oh my gosh.
But he's going to have a wild side that will push you beyond your boundaries, just an amount that you are titillated by. Titillated? Titillated or tindillated? Tintillated. Titillated. Titillated.
So people who don't know me, I am a type 1, type A person. Type 1 of the Enneagram is called the perfectionist. I'm incredibly organized. And you can attest to that.
I can attest. Because if I leave a hair on the ground, it must be lint rolled.
I have a lint roller right here. I think every woman needs to have...
Your weapon is on hand.
Every woman needs to have a lint roll in her life. Like, you wake up... Oh, there's a dust on your knee. There... Every time I wake up, and this is what my family does too, and I lint roll my bed every morning when I make my bed, because when you sleep, your hair will fall out and there will be dust as well. And so I lint roll my entire bed, and then I also lint roll my floors too. So that, because when you walk around in your room, or if you live in a house, there's gonna be hair and dust on the floor, and like, yeah, you could mop it or vacuum it, but a lint roller is so compact, it's so light, it's so quick and easy. You can take a lint roller. So my parents, they each have a lint roller. My mom has the regular one, the one that I was holding just now. My dad has a lint roller with a longer stem because his back has problems, so like it's a his and hers lint roller situation. We have 3 lint rollers at home, and my mom, every year for my birthday, she ships me an entire box of new lint rollers.
I have a fantasy situation for you. Okay. Imagine you're at P-Volve.
Okay, people have probably heard this from my episode with Chitra, but it's my favorite workout studio ever. It's my favorite workout method. Continue. I'm so sorry I interrupted.
No, that's so okay. So I think you're going to go one day for a yoga session.
But they don't do yoga there. They do functional movement.
Let's just pretend. So you're doing downward doggy. And suddenly
I see, like, when I'm in my downward dog.
You see a forearm come into frame, into your peripheral vision. This forearm is muscular and it has veins. And it's holding a lint roller. And he lint rolls the hair off the ground near your yoga mat. And you look up and his beautiful eyes are looking into yours, and he's like, "Is this your hair?" And you're like, "Yes." And then you guys get married. Isn't that insane? Don't you love that? So I think that's what's gonna happen, and we'll check back in next episode.
I'm gonna picture your fantasy right now.
Okay, good.
But
What's
it's
it
gonna
gonna
be hard to
be?
top because you're a visionary. Your fantasy. He is at Go Get Him Tiger at Culver City on Washington Boulevard. It is 3:23 p.m. in the afternoon, and he is working on his recent most exciting project with Savage Fenty, which, yes, is a client of his, and he did work for him, them, for Rihanna.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. And suddenly, the door opens. I'm stalling because I have no idea where this is going. I'm so bad.
I literally know where this is going. I can tell you the rest of the story because I know what it is.
Okay, the door opens and it's someone from your past. An old flame who you were very attracted to in high school. He goes like, "Oh, Stephen?" And you're like, "Oh, blank." And then he's like, "Oh my gosh, I just moved to LA." And you realize that he lives 5 minutes away from us. He has his own studio apartment and he loves to cook. And he's like, "Steven, like, oh my gosh, we live so close. And I love making Japanese food.
Okay.
I'm going to make you the sexiest looking bento box you've ever seen in your life."
Okay.
And that's my story. That was so long.
Okay. Well, I'm going to revise some things. I think when he meets me at the coffee shop, it's going to be okay, here's a spicy alternative to the story.
So you're just basically doing a different story then.
Because I was like, oh, what if it was someone from high school, but actually he was a bully, and he used to bully me for being gay.
But
then
he was actually attracted to you.
he was actually attracted.
Oh,
Yeah, that's so
I love
spicy.
that.
And
That's
then
way better.
and he used to love Shonda Rhimes. And then he comes over and he sees me and he's like, "Hey," and he tries not to act. And she's like, "Aren't you that?" I'll like recognize him immediately, but I'll be like, "Sorry, I don't really remember." And then he'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's Brandon." Oh. Okay, well, everyone knows his name now. And then he really, yeah, like, I remember he used to like do theater or whatever. I was like, "Yeah." We'll keep talking for a bit, and he's like, "Yeah, I just want to like apologize. Like, I didn't know like what I was doing back then, and like I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Oh no, it's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but like, I mean, I understand everyone has their different, journeys in life, and like you
Wow,
needed time to
so
like
deep now.
fully in my story now."
Yeah.
And this is what I do at night. Like when I think of stories, like I fully become that person in that character, and like I'm not physically here anymore. I'm in that story, and I'll be talking to myself at night like a deranged.
I think we need to normalize talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
In the pandemic, you're by yourself constantly. And even if you have a partner for the rest of your life, you will be in your body for the rest of your life. So it's okay to talk to yourself.
So might as well get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Might as well love yourself.
Get comfortable.
Yeah.
Is your story done?
Yeah. So then he's like, "Okay, I know this doesn't make up for anything, but at least let me buy you a coffee." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then, we start talking it up, and like he's obviously like very tall and he has a mustache, and like love that.
Oh yeah, Steven loves men with mustaches. So any potential candidates out there?
There's so
Here
many.
he
There's
is,
so many.
rolling out the red carpet.
Okay, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Come home with me," and then I get in his car, and then we start making out at his apartment. And that's the end of the story.
But the bento boxes, though.
I don't care about that.
You prefer to eat something else.
Jeez. I'm not the one eating.
You're the one serving.
I'm the one serving.
So we've been watching Queen Charlotte on Netflix.
Oh my god, I cannot handle. I actually can't. Like when I see his face, like I have to look away.
Let's sing.
Okay. What song do you want to sing? Do you remember you asked me to sing last time? And I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, he sang in the previous episode too.
Oh my God, no.
So we've changed so much. Used to wear turtlenecks even in the summer.
That's honestly, if you want to roast me, that's going to be the roast.
You remember more songs than I do. I don't remember.
That's why you
any
have to
song.
pick it, because if I pick a song, there's no guarantee that you will know it.
Well, you pick it first.
No, I literally just made a perfect argument as to why you should pick the argument first, because
My argument is that this is my show.
My argument is that I'm the guest.
Yeah.
I'm literally sweating.
I'm sweating bullets as
Okay,
well.
you should sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I really love that song.
Okay, and then you'll harmonize it?
I will.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Now I'm so nervous.
Ready, set, go. What note do you want to sing?
I just have to calm down. Like there's so much air coming out of
No,
my
actually,
lungs
if
right
you
now.
try to get ready, you'll never be ready. So you have to go.
Oh my gosh.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
Merrily, merrily, merrily,
Merrily, life is but a dream. Okay, but my voice in falsetto right now doesn't work because I've been talking for so long, so it's kind of like
we just
rusty.
went from this to that so quickly.
Yeah, I think everyone who's ever going to see this podcast is going to be like so turned off by the image of me. Like, because I just showed my so real self, like my true
No,
real
me
self.
as well.
And
I feel
like
people
this
who
is
listen to
me
the
being
show in the past
extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, we're like, you know what?
No.
Comedy is one of the most vulnerable forms of vulnerability. Like, I also learned this in theater. Most comedy stems from pain and tragedy. In Shakespeare, a lot of the comedy that happens stems from a husband dying, a relative dying, them being shipped off to this new place. It stems from pain.
I completely agree.
And sometimes we use comedy to mask our pain as well. And I do that all the time. I'm honestly so disgusted by myself throughout this entire
Me too.
show.
People are gonna see our true
Because-
experience raw.
Oh my gosh, there's this Trojan condom commercial that we keep seeing on our Hulu when we watch our Hulu shows, because we still have the plan with ads, and there's this voiceover whenever the condom commercial comes out, and she's like, experience raw, and it's like a hand pressed up against a glass like when they're showering. It's so funny.
Okay, but actually what we're doing is so valid, because when I listen to Emergency Intercom, I think about how they don't transition between topics. They literally just like, when they think of something new, they just say it. I'm like, that's how our brains naturally work. I don't think we should work against that. I think that's what's most natural and what's most healing and what's going to recover, what's going to heal our brains the most. It's just listening to what we want to say and what we want to give and what we want to feel. Just like being vulnerable and like listening to your vibrational energy.
I think we're done now. Stephen Lee, thank you so much for coming on Happy Hour.
Of course.
Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. And come join me for Happy Hour anytime. Do you want to say bye, Stephen? We should say bye, not just wait.
Okay, bye. Bye.